Yo, what is up guys? Del Boy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So some interesting news in regards to the Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin 2 undercard. Conor Benn's next fight has been announced for that card, and he is going to be fighting German welterweight Sebastian Formella. Now as far as I'm concerned, this is a massive step up for Conor Benn. I see this being a massive test for Conor Benn. Sebastian Formella is clearly the best fighter that Conor Benn has fought to date. And yeah, I fully expect Sebastian Formella to pose some real questions about Conor Benn. In fact, I'd go one step further and say this is a very risky fight for Conor in which he could easily lose. Sebastian Formella, listen, he's not the best welterweight in the world, nothing close, but I would say he is a relatively decent European level fighter in the welterweight division. For example, Sebastian Formella in his last fight, which was only August, he fought Sean Porter in America and he went the distance, wasn't really hurt, didn't touch the canvas, he made the distance quite comfortably. Of course, Porter basically won every round and he pretty much dominated him on the scorecards, but Formella showed some good durability and at times he was acquitting himself relatively well. Apart from the Sean Porter fight, he beat Roberto Ariaza, who I would say is better than anybody Conor Benn's beaten. He also beat the South African welterweight prospect Fiolani Mbenge, who was a big puncher going into that fight. Mbenge was a favourite, but Sebastian Formella beat him. So Formella is actually more proven than Conor Benn at a higher level. And yeah man, this is very risky in my opinion. Formella is a good sort of technical boxer, one of these guys who I would say does the basics well. He's got like that stereotypical German style. He's got a nice high guard. He does stand a little upright at times, but he throws good straight punches and he's got good solid fundamentals. He's a pretty solid fighter all round I would say, and also he's a bigger welterweight than Conor Benn. Conor Benn really isn't the biggest welterweight in the world. In fact, I've been saying for a long time I felt Conor Benn should really be fighting at 140. So listen, Sebastian Formella is a real test for Conor Benn. It really is. And I have to say, I'm really surprised that this fight's been made. I see it as a big risk for Conor Benn, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I really wasn't expecting this level of opponent for Conor Benn. I was kind of expecting, at best, someone like maybe Samuel Vargas, which would have been a good opponent, don't get me wrong. That would have been a good test in itself, but I see Sebastian Formella as a more intriguing stylistic matchup for Conor Benn. Formella can box, he can move a little bit, he can keep range, whereas Conor Benn's kind of a come-forwards fighter. I'm not really sold on his boxing ability, so it's going to be interesting to see how he can try and break down a guy like Sebastian Formella, who does have pretty good defence, who does have a good understanding of boxing fundamentals. It's a really interesting step up and a good addition to this card in my opinion. A really good addition. I have to be honest, more than likely I'll buy this card. I really enjoyed the first Whyte Povetkin fight and I had no problem that was on pay-per-view, and the second fight in my opinion is also very intriguing, almost, you know, a high risks, high stake type of fight where if Dillian Whyte loses, where does he go? If Povetkin loses at 41 years old, it's basically career over. So the main event is high stakes. This is a really good undercard fight. Hopefully this card can get a couple of more really solid fights, maybe a world title fight on the undercard, and I think this could be a really, really good card of boxing. Fingers crossed, but yeah man, I like this fight. What can I say? I really like this fight. Very surprised, but like I said earlier, I'm pleasantly surprised. One thing I'm very interested about in regards to this fight is the betting odds. It's going to be interesting to see what odds you can get on Formella winning this fight, because I certainly think it's a possibility. I'm assuming going in, he's going to be the underdog. Obviously, Conor Benn's the household name. He's the A-side, he's the young prospect. So I'm assuming Conor Benn is going to be the favourite going into this fight. But I think it's going to be one of those fights where as it gets closer, the odds are going to tighten up as people realise Conor Benn isn't in with like a cab driver. Very interesting stuff. Anyway, share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Del Boy. Peace.